Now we will going to work with the math class again. However, this time in a little different context with some different other methods. So I'm going to call this one using math 2 and public static void main, and I click finish, and here I have my math class. Pretty cool. So this time I check the public static void main as well to make sure that I have my main and I wouldn't have to type it up. Okay, so now I have my math class in place. So I would like to this time generate a random number. So let's say if I declare a double variable call rand_num equals to math.random, and I go about saying, okay, system.out.println random number, and I say rand_num. Okay, pretty simple, just 2 lines. Call the random number method. It's going to generate a random number, and I'm going to give it back to you in the random, and I'm just displaying random back onto the screen. That's all I'm doing. If I click the play button, it gives me a random number, but notice this random number is a huge number, however in precision. It's a number that is less than 0 but greater, greater than 0 but less than 1. So whenever you call upon the random method in Java, it does generate a random number but between 0 and 1. So if I click the play button again, notice it generates a different random number, then it generates a different random number, then it generates a different random number. And each time I click, it keeps generating different random numbers. So random number always gets to be generated between 0 and 1. However, if I want to take this random number and generate a random number of a higher value, then all I need to do is, I'll do that with the help of another variable called random so that you can see the difference. To math.random, and I will going to multiply this by, let's say, 10. So this will going to make sure that it generates a random number between 0 and 10. So now as I click, notice it generates 2 random numbers. The first one is between 0 and 1. The second one is between 0 and 10. So let's try again. Okay. Now let's say if I want to increase my limit on the random numbers. So let me copy this code and I'm going to paste it again. And I'm going to call this one random number 3. And I'm going to jack up the range to 1,000. Okay. So now I will going to rerun this program, and notice between 0 and 1, between 0 and 10, and between 0 and 1,000. See, you saw one 2-digit answer, and a lot of the time it generates a 3-digit one. However, once in a while it probably goes down, and sometimes, as you've seen, it goes as high as 999. So it randomly generates a number within that range. You could use that to generate some lotto numbers randomly and all of that stuff. Okay, so that is about random numbers. If I would like to round my random numbers, I can definitely do that as well. So I say, okay, generate a random number, and after you multiply this random number, I would like you to round the random number. Okay, so now let's see the difference. My first 2 numbers will not be rounded, but my last number is getting rounded. Okay, so since I'm using a double variable to hold the answer, therefore it's adding the trailing point O in the end. Okay, so every time I do, it rounds it off. Well, I hope you had fun watching this video as well. Catch you soon.